Welcome back, everyone, to the Jonesboro Open presented by Pro Discus. We're out in Jonesboro, Arkansas at the disc side of heaven for the back nine of the final round of the lead card for FPO. We have Catrina Allen, Paige Pierce, Henna Blomroos, and Rebecca Cox for the final nine action. My name is Sarah Hokum. I'm here with Paige Pierce to call all the shots. Welcome back, Paige.
Thanks. Good to be here. And as you saw in the front nine, a lot of things happened. You know, I started out pretty good and made up a couple strokes and took the lead by 3. And then Catrina got 3 back within 4 holes. And we are now tied up again at 16 under with the other 2 of Rebecca Cox and Henna just a couple strokes back. So this is the part of the course that gets a little bit harder, and the rain's starting to go away. So
the conditions are still tough to score. We've got more wind than we've seen, and it's really cold out here. So starting off with hole 10, 360 feet with a late turn to the right. It is straight for 320 feet, and then it's got to go right very quickly while still staying in the center with a sloped green behind the pyramid basket, making putts really difficult, and any misses are sure to roll away.
Absolutely. This is, I think, my favorite hole of the course. One of my favorite par 3s that we play on tour. It's just, it's kind of easy, but it's so hard.
It seems very gettable.
Yeah, when you're looking at it, you're like, oh, this is so gettable.
Play slightly uphill, though, so we're talking...
It does.
Probably playing like 380.
It does, but the amount of power you have to put behind the shot to get your disc to fly that way it requires a full power shot, but then if you overpower it, you're down that hill that you spoke of by the basket. And so a lot of us are taking some off or accidentally turning it too early and ending up in the woods over there on the right.
You also have a low ceiling, so it's low power even. You don't get to use the distance and gravity to kind of get you up there further.
Mm-hmm. And that Henna just threw was the best shot I've seen in our division in my 3 years here at Jonesboro.
And still leaving her outside the circle.
Still just outside. You know, if you don't turn it, you get scared. I think the worst miss is short right into those bushes, because it's almost, you're almost guaranteed a bogey, and it's hard to get through there.
And then you're trying to throw an approach shot onto a really tricky sloped green and get nearly, as close as you can, because that putt is daunting from even inside the circle.
Right. So like you just said, the word daunting, it is absolutely. So sometimes then you try to overcompensate and you go on the left side, which there's no chance of birdie.
That was a great sneak through by Rebecca.
There.
Happy birthday there.
To clarify, it wasn't her birthday.
It's her unbirthday. Actually, it was Christina Linthicum's birthday today.
Awesome.
During this round.
Awesome.
Which we saw her shoot 1,000 rated.
Amazing.
I want 1,000 rated round for my birthday.
Yeah. Would be a good birthday present for sure.
It's someone you give yourself, though, right?
Yeah. Happy birthday to me.
So Kat trying to recover. Tricky approach, kind of like we talked about. She'll be down the hill just a little bit.
And that was my Lucid X Convict off the tee. A little bit of an overstable finish. So I kind of just had to lay this up. And honestly,
like
that isn't where... Yeah, I didn't want to be that far. It just kind of glided right over the hill.
Rebecca doesn't want any part of that putt, which I don't blame her.
No, par's good. Par's good.
And actually, this par was really good, with only one player getting a birdie on this hole the entire weekend.
Really? And who was that?
Christina Lincecum.
Okay.
Lefty with distance. It's set up for her shot perfectly. Here, a little bit of a tester for par. Little right side, but it sticks.
Yeah, it goes in, and I'm happy with that. Catrina tapping out, as does Rebecca.
I don't know what we call that throw. That's I'm so close it doesn't matter how I put that disc. Hole 11, par 4, 560 feet. The initial shot is a tight gap going kind of up a hill off the tee, but then back down the hill, hoping to end up a little bit left, giving yourself an open line to get to the green, which is about 200 feet straight, and then another 70 feet up a hill to the right. So this is really good for a well-rounded player to throw a backhand off the tee and a sidearm approach.
Catrina goes with her D1. She's looking for that flat release with the overstable finish. And as you can see, she put it nice and high, so it's going to stall even farther around the corner. It's a really well-thrown shot.
Perfectly placed. You can see all the mud that players are experiencing. Yeah, the mud just keeps getting worse and worse through the day.
Yep.
Footing is hard to come by, even on the tees.
Yeah, definitely. You track the mud with you. Here's Henna with her razory. This hole so far, she has absolutely crushed. And I was excited to see her do it 3 times in a row. Just a beautiful full power hyzer flip up to flat and then stalling around the corner. So next we'll have Rebecca Cox here. And she's throwing her halo.
Which that's what, flippy distance?
It is a little bit overstable, but it's a little bit straighter than her defender, which is another one that she throws for overstable distance.
For a lot of the ladies, they're gonna have to flex it just a little bit to get around the corner far enough where they have an open look. If they leave it out too much hyzer, it's gonna leave them pinched on the left side with a really difficult approach. And it looks like Rebecca just got enough distance there with that flex.
Yeah, she did. If you can see those trees right there, shy of her drive, that is the worst place you could be on the hole. And to attack this and to have a look at the 3, you kind of have to challenge it. So I'm throwing my felon here just hard and flat and knowing it's going to dump out to the left. I wish I would have gotten it a tiny bit farther forward, but, you know, it was the mistake that I was most happy with, you know, as long as I'm in the open.
So challenging Rebecca's sidearm here.
Yeah, she's been whipping this out quite a bit this weekend, and it's really awesome to see.
She's got to flex around left, but then not hyzer too far right, because the right side is actually extremely rough and can leave you pitching out several times to get through.
And this is that defender that I just spoke about. She puts a nice turn on it and knows it's going to hyzer back at the end. She's just outside the circle for her birdie 3.
What a great shot, especially for someone who's not sidearm dominant.
Yeah.
And
I didn't get mine wide enough.
A little early. That right side rough
is rough.
It's really tough. That's what I really like about this hole is it's fair and open, but if you're in the rough, you get punished.
Yeah. I think it's a really well-made hole, and like you said, it shows both sides of the player's game, you know, with the backhand drive and the sidearm approach. Or in Henna's case,
Henna says, I don't need to throw a sidearm.
Beautifully thrown, stalling,
and she
understable putter.
And she challenged the left side of the early trees and then the right side of the late trees.
Yeah.
So she used every bit of fairway she could and got herself a nice putt.
It was gorgeous. Wide and high.
So you had to kind of pitch out there.
Yeah.
So you'll have a par putt. And Cat for birdie. Trying to catch one on you. The basket says no.
Yeah, a little bit low and right. It's a good bid, especially with no footing. You see she had to step out to a straddle.
And Rebecca for birdie. Putts are tough to make here.
Good bid. She gave it a chance.
The basket looks a little wonky there. Nice putt.
Thank you.
And Henna for birdie. Cashed it in. She's saying, I'm not going anywhere. You better watch out.
And so with that solo birdie, she moves up to 13 under, and she's now just 3 back. And, you know, we still have just under half the round left, and we have some tough holes coming up.
Yeah, and with the back 3, the final 3 holes being some of the hardest on the course, it's anybody's game all the way up to the end. So Henna got that birdie, along with Jessica Weiss got it also from the chase card. Very few birdies today on that hole. On to hole 12, 535 feet, par 4. The initial shot is relatively pure distance to get over an OB marsh area. The next shot will be uphill, but then back downhill to a green that is extremely sloped and very difficult to land near. So we'll see that challenge the players on the putting green, and the pure distance is going to get them farther up for an easier approach, but there's nothing easy about that approach.
Not at all, especially because you can't even see the basket from most places.
And we have a headwind here,
Yeah.
off the tee.
So
So
as
it's hard to
you can
even
see,
to get over the marsh.
Yeah, so that's probably why Henna put so much hyzer on it, because of that headwind.
I know most of the players on my card actually laid up today, when normally they would try to go over
Yeah,
the marsh.
definitely. The wind was very present on this one. Catrina's throwing her most stable D2. Puts a little turn on it because she knows she can trust it to hyzer back, and that's how well she knows her disc into that strong of a headwind that she can still put some turn on it and know it's going to hyzer.
She is also extremely good at playing in the wind.
She's very good.
And
just
just
in
good in
general.
general.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say the wind is one of her strengths.
So like you said, some players are going to lay up, like Rebecca Cox here. Honestly, I was surprised at how short she laid up. This is my opinion or my guessing, but I don't think that she practiced the layup.
I would also agree with you there.
Because she left herself even 150 short of where the wall is.
Yeah, sometimes you don't realize that would be an option when you're practicing.
Right.
And when you get up there with those conditions.
Right. So mine flipped a little bit earlier than I wanted, so I'm going to be on the right side of that big tree. But I was actually pleasantly surprised when I got down there. You guys will see in just a moment.
Rebecca trying to get up on that hillside to make that approach a little bit easier, but it's going to be tough from there to get up and down for par.
Yeah, it's actually really smart play by Rebecca, because since she can't get up and down from there, she's, like Sarah said, playing the high side of the hill, so then she can at least see the basket on her approach.
And we just saw Henna land behind those blocker trees, and the basket, those trees are between her and the basket, and that is going to be, it is almost impossible from that close to those trees to get around and up and down. So she's going to struggle here to get the par as well.
Catrina with a nice sidearm. You can't really tell if you get a roll or not, so luckily it's set, but it's going to be a really, really hard putt from there. Just a scary putt, really, with that green so sloped. It's, very mental.
Even laying up from 100 feet is challenging.
Yeah. Look at this shot right here.
I was wondering how she was going to get through there. I was in that
Nose
same
up.
position, and I did not see that line.
Nose up and hyzer sidearm that was super stally with great speed control. It was a beautiful shot. I didn't even see the gap. I would never have even tried that. I asked her, "What are you thinking?"
Cat with a veteran move.
Yep.
Side hill is not a putt you really want to miss, so if you're not confident, laying up is certainly the option. Rebecca to save par. Oh, she's lucky she didn't get a roll there.
Absolutely. Henna to save her par after landing in the worst spot on the hole, I would say.
I agree. Outside of OB, that is the worst place.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Wow.
beautiful upshot.
That's amazing. And Paige for birdie. Awesome. Great hole. You and Madison were the only two to actually get this one today.
Yeah, it feels good to get it. It's hole 12, final round, and we're tied up, so any stroke is a good stroke, and to take the lead there, at least I know I have one stroke to play with.
On to hole 13, par 3, 255 feet uphill with trees on the right. And we've got a interesting wind. I believe it is a headwind, left to right headwind. It actually plays more like 300 feet up the hill, and then the green, as with all greens here in Jonesboro, it is sloped, easy to roll straight down the hill, leaving yourself an outside the circle putt. Best to land on the high side.
Definitely. I'm trying to go high side. I'm throwing my Lucid X Felon, our most overstable fairway, and I did
Deep.
I did hit the high side, but I got that roll still. Henna with her Titan. She said it's pretty similar to my Felon that I'm throwing.
This is the easiest hole on the course. So, getting really close to the basket and ensuring that birdie is going to be critical at this point in the round.
Nice wide hyzer.
Gets the similar roll.
Oh, and even some more. It's hard to not get a little bit of ground play on this hole. Especially with the uphill tee shot, you kind of have to put a little more power on it than you would need to if it was flat. Catrina with her H1.
Little straight.
Doesn't get through, so she's outside of circle 2.
No look at, well, I mean, I guess she has a look, but I don't know if anybody's running an 80-footer on that hillside.
And Rebecca Cox with her halo again here. She was the only one that birdied it on our card yesterday, so she's looking to throw that same line. And she does. She goes flatter than the rest of us, and so maybe that's the way to play it. Flatter and make sure you're not getting that skip.
A little more inside.
Yeah. So I'm having to go from a knee, and there's not really a chance. I just decide to lay it up and avoid any sort of roll away.
And with Kat not having a birdie look, you're not losing a stroke to the person closest.
Ooh, Henna had a chance to get one on both of us, though. Missed just a tiny bit low.
Rebecca for birdie.
For the solo birdie, 2 days in a row, she does it.
Solid.
So she'll move up to 11 under, now only 2 behind Henna. And it's still a tight race.
And it's still extremely cold. In fact, the temperature is starting to even drop a little bit more, which is uncharacteristic of an afternoon situation.
You know, at least it wasn't snowing, though. Last year at the Jonesboro Open, we had a bit of snow.
That's true. On to hole 14, 520 feet. The initial shot is downhill. Most players are going to lay up to in front of the OB marsh area. Some players will try to go over and give themselves an easy birdie or even an eagle look. The green is a little bit guarded with some tough rough on the left side and the right side, and an extremely elevated basket on top of that log.
Rebecca's up first with that birdie, and she goes layup with her compass. Nice and smooth, straight mid. That just matches the hill, and when it's losing speed, just kind of gets a little bit of hyzer.
How far do you think this pin actually plays downhill?
Yeah, it says
so
520.
It's 520, but we're going to lose a little bit of distance because it's downhill.
470,
470.
Something like that.
And that being within your range, you're going to go for the...
Yeah, I feel pretty confident on this one. And we did have a tailwind, so it was kind of making it hyzer and drop. And you can't see from this angle, but I actually hit the stake and it kicked backwards OB.
Oh.
Yeah, those yellow stakes down there. But I had a look the other 2 days, so I felt confident.
Henna also laying up.
Yes.
Stand still with a putter.
Yes, this is her Jokery. Overstable putter by Pro Discus, and she puts it in a great spot, literally as close as she can be to OB without being OB, so her approach will be easier than the rest of ours.
I'm always tempted to just kind of throw a roller on the
and just roll it into the OTB banners. Shout out to OTB as well, another big supporter of the Pro Tour. Awesome shot by Kat.
Kat putting the pressure on with the tap-in birdie look.
And that's, got to give her some credit there. That gap is late into the flight, so it's harder to hit, and she just sailed it perfectly down the center of it. Henna with another 2 standstill putter shots. You know, what a way to break the hole down and still have a look at birdie. A pretty easy look at birdie.
She makes it look easy at least.
Yeah. And so Henna and Rebecca told me that I crossed over, so I got my mark on the other side. I have no business running that, so I'm just putting it up there knowing I'm probably going to lose a stroke with the par here. Rebecca with her deputy from about 40, just low.
Yeah, that basket is quite a bit higher than any of the pyramids that we're putting on. Whew, that was also kind of a close.
Yeah, I get a little nervous for her on those putts because the way she putts when they're super close and uphill, it's
yeah, she comes still all the way down on her backswing.
Catrina taps in her birdie and will tie it up going into hole 15. So we have 4 holes to play. It's a tie ball game, and Henna's really only 3 strokes back, you know?
Yeah, there's still the possibility that Henna could birdie out and push this for sure. Going into the next hole, which is the easiest, and then the following 3, which are some of the hardest, makes this for an interesting finish. Hole 15, 270 feet, kind of up and over a hill off the tee, but then back down into a gully with another sloped green. The entire fairway is actually sloping right to left, and on the left side you have some really, really tough rough that could prevent a good up and down for par if you end up over there. Definitely plays to a righty backhand.
Mm-hmm. Henna with her Titan here, she's going wide and high. With the wide and high play, you kind of have to pinpoint your exact distance, otherwise you're going to get that skip and be down the hill like that. Catrina throwing the same line with her H1. She knows she needs a birdie here, coming down the stretch, and she executes it perfectly, not even having to putt.
Excellent. It's surprisingly a difficult shot despite the not too far distance and, kind of the righty hyzer line. It's surprising how I don't see as many players parking it like Kat just did.
Rebecca a little bit lower and flatter with her halo. I think that's a great play on this one, and I'm going to try to follow suit on that same line, but I'll be throwing my Lucid X verdict. And I know with Kat sitting under the basket, I absolutely have to get this close.
Oh, somebody's closer. In champion style.
Henna from Circle's Edge. And she sees the other 3 of us sitting right under it, so she's really wanting to make that, but doesn't quite get it high enough.
Rebecca for birdie. And you guys, I assume, made those little tap-ins. So on to hole 16, 520 feet, downhill off the tee, trying to get into a kind of a bowl area. It gives you about 250 feet over the water to another sloped green. That tree on the right side will catch a missed flex shot by a backhand. There's a lot of room on the left side. But this hole played very, very difficult today. This was also after probably, a 30-minute wait?
30-minute wait. You can see the rain's picked back up, and it's such a difficult hole where your landing zone to have an easy look at birdie is very small.
And that landing zone is also sloped, so it's really easy to get a random kind of roll into the brush or into an undesirable position.
And big headwind, too. Catrina throws that H1 really well. Puts it into a good position as far as we know. Like you see, we can't really see where it lands, so there's some rolls that could happen on that sloped
And y'all are playing this very cold. The temperature has dropped, and you've been sitting around for 30 minutes waiting to tee. This hole played tough for all the ladies today, which is why we had the backup.
Rebecca with a great sidearm with her defender. Got a little bit of a roll there into the bushes on the right. You know, it's kind of difficult if you're out of position because you have to choose to pitch out 40 feet to the drop zone or to go for a hard shot across.
Throwing the roller?
Yes.
To the open area?
I actually was not. The bottom of my disc was wet and I didn't realize it until I released and my finger completely slipped. I should have just played it off as if it was a roller, but beneficial roll for sure. Very, very errant shot by me. Henna with a great spike hyzer, but it comes up a little bit short and hits the tree. You're kind of not able to, and she chooses not to do so. And if you end up out of bounds on your approach over the water, then you have to go all the way back to this side of the water and throw from the drop zone. You don't actually get to take it maybe where it went out. Right.
So it's if you're not in good position, laying up would be the veteran move. And you can see Henna heading right towards that tree that often catches the disc and drops it into the water. And she was safe.
Catrina going for it from here with a little bit of a downhill run up and turns it straight over
into that tree, that blocker tree that drops her in the water. That is the miss. Unfortunately, that is going to cost her.
Rebecca had her Ballista Pro in her hand for a while, like she was going to go for it, and at the last minute decided not to and floated her Compass OB just trying to lay up.
Oof. That hurts when you lay up wrong.
Yeah. So I'm going Felon here, hard and flat. It gets a little bit of a turn, but it's still hyzering out, but just tickles those branches and drops just a couple inches short of safe.
So 3 out of the 4 of you going to the drop zone?
And the one that doesn't go to the drop zone is the one on Cat and I's heels. 4 back.
Lots of big swings on this hole.
Catrina went standstill, which I thought was a good play on that muddy drop zone. Rebecca didn't, and you can see she slid and fell into the mud.
That entire drop zone is muddy.
Yeah.
There's no footing.
So I went standstill as well. It's a short distance, so I had my putter in my hand, but since I had to go standstill, I went with my mid-range. And I was happy to have a very short putt because the wind was raging again at this point.
So Henna with the very lucky inbounds shot, but a blocked putt.
Yeah, no real look from there.
Lays it up. And Cat trying to recover.
This is to save her bogey.
The wind was rough there. Yeah. That's a straight headwind for her.
You can hear it. You can see it wobble in the discs. She's going to be settling with a double bogey.
Rebecca as well, bogeying.
If I hit this, it's a double bogey as well. And Catrina and I don't give up any strokes to each other. But with Henna playing safe, she is going to get one on us.
Hole played as the hardest hole on the course. Only 2 players got the birdie. That's Vanessa and Jess, who happened to be on my card, so I got to watch them.
Nice.
But 87% of the field bogey or worse.
Wow.
So played 2.5 strokes over par. On to hole 17 with 2 holes left. The battle is tight. This one is 530 feet, a dogleg right. The player needs to throw 250 to 300 feet straight, and then another 250 or so down to a left to right sloping green, and there's some trees on the right, bushes on the right. If you get down there, it's very difficult to get a putt out. So Henna has the tee. Throwing her mid.
Yeah, and she's just trying to crest that hill. It was a little low, but with that downhill halfway through, it kind of glided right over it, and she's in a great position.
There's also OB on the left side here, so if you leave it out wide and high, you're going to be OB left.
Catrina's throwing her H1, relying on that stable finish. She's actually aiming right, knowing that that disc is overstable. We had quite a big headwind on this one, so we're just trying to get left.
There's a slight uphill also off the tee, which sometimes makes a player either leave it out hyzer or turn a little too much.
And the worst miss is to the right with all those trees in the way blocking the basket. I actually changed my game plan on this one because I had flipped it yesterday and, tied with 2 holes to go. I do not want to be in those woods, so I'm going Lucid X Verdict, our overstable mid-range. Just kind of at the tree and letting it hyzer to the left.
Right nearby the 250 stake. Always like that because you know exactly how far you are from the bin, even though the approach is downhill. But it looks like everybody has a look to get up and down for a birdie look.
Yeah, good grouping. You can hear the wind. It's just ripping. Rebecca's going with a sidearm here with her Explorer from about 260.
There's some trees on that left side that can easily kind of catch the disc, but she misses those and leaves herself outside the circle, just outside the circle.
I'm throwing my Marshall here. It's on a great line, but comes in a little bit hot, and I'm on the back side of the basket, about circle's edge. Catrina going with the sidearm here with her D1. She wants to make sure to get it wide with the hill sloping to the right. Once it loses speed, if it's too much hyzer, you're going to go into those woods. And she got the skip too, so she's going to have a pretty hindered putt. Henna going with the backhand turnover.
A little too high. There's high trees on the left and the right, so any shot coming into the green needs to be low enough to miss all of those.
So she's going to have a tap-in bogey. Catrina and I both have a chance for the par still. But it looked like she didn't have much. It didn't look like she even ran it. Just kind of wanted to get out of there with no chance of any sort of branch hits.
Leaving the decider to the final hole.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I would have a look or not from my putt, and I searched for a hole. I did not find one, so I went ahead and laid up as well.
So tapping in the par. Rebecca also with the par. And going into this final hole, you are both knotted up at -16, and Blomroos is still within striking distance on this hole, but it'll take some perfect play and some mistakes on y'all's part. So hole 18 is par 5, 818 feet. A gap shot off the tee, or you can take a big wide hyzer. Then the next shot is going to be an uphill lie navigating the bushy rough area in the middle, and then the final shot to approach the green has a left to right slope and OB all along the back side and the right side. So a lot of opportunities here to throw great shots, but also to kind of open up the window for any player, really.
And that gap that Henna's going through is definitely the route that gets you progressed the most forward. But if you hit an early tree, you can kick down into this OB ditch on the left side. Well, I guess not a ditch, but more of a fence line that has like a little creek running through it. Catrina takes that OB out of play completely with her play. She goes wide hyzer. But it makes her next few shots quite a bit more demanding. She's not with that hyzer play, you can't get too far down the fairway. She's landing by that blue stake at best.
That blue stake, though, I think that's within range to still get up and down for your birdie.
For a birdie.
Just that longer second shot.
You have to really make sure to get it hyzered, though, left. Rebecca's going to follow that line. She said she threw the hyzer all 3 rounds, so you can tell she's pretty confident with where to release it. And I'm on the bottom of the box, so I got to weigh the pros and cons and decide if I wanted to play safe with that hyzer. You can see I still have both discs in my hand, but I had thrown the middle gap all 3 rounds, and I felt confident. If I went straight and I cured the gap, then I could definitely come out with the win.
So you're taking a little bit of risk here, taking that gap shot, deciding that you're going to get this birdie and try to win it outright.
I don't like playoffs, especially against Catrina.
I don't blame you.
So this is my Biofusion Defender. As soon as I let it go, I knew I made the gap, and that's all I wanted.
You got way up there.
Yeah, I had actually a look at eagle if I needed it. And again, this is a huge benefit for me being last to throw, so I can kind of see what Catrina does and if I need to go for that eagle.
So are you saying we should like kind of tank the last, maybe the holes before, just so you don't have to tee off first?
I don't know, but I was definitely actually kind of glad that I was last. And Catrina throws a great shot from standstill in the water, but she gets right behind that tree. Honestly, I think if she was 3 to 4 feet either direction, she would have been in a great spot, but that tree's going to hinder her upshot.
Henna going for the right side around those trees, doesn't turn it enough, leaves her in that kind of central bushy rough area.
Yeah, and since Kat landed behind the tree, I figured I would be okay with the birdie, so I grabbed my Marshall and just kind of lay it up. This works, and I'm not thinking that Catrina is gonna 5, but if she gets the 4, then I think that we can still tie. And if she gets the 5, then I think that I'll win. Rebecca went with the wide hyzer. She put it a little bit too wide, and when we get up there, we find out it is OB.
Kat needs to get this close.
Low, flat, and hard. Great shot, and she got the skip. She got up there quite a bit farther than we could even tell, actually.
Just outside the circle?
Yeah, she had a great putt. Henna with a good approach. A little bit too much turn with that hill facing to the, downhill to the right. But she got up there pin high.
So looking to put a bullseye on this one.
Yeah, I want to get as close as possible. We have a big crowd, and, there's still some wind present. And, of course, the last hole nerves.
Leaving yourself a 10-footer for the win?
If Kat misses this putt,
Assuming.
but she still has a 45-foot putt to, put the pressure on me to make mine.
Oh, you can see her take a deep breath.
Yeah, she takes her time. She focuses well.
She wants this putt for the win. Ooh.
Little bit short left.
Henna trying to finish good. A little bit of metal, and Paige to get the birdie and take the outright win. So super confident. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Felt good. It's my first Pro Tour win since Idlewild last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And coming from behind, you were 4th on the card going into this.
Yeah, and, it was a tight race. It could have been any one of the 4 of us. And yeah, tough course, tough conditions, so it felt good to come out on top on that one.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
How are you feeling right now?
Pretty good. Yeah, gotta let it sink in a little bit.
I bet. So thanks for everybody for joining us for the Jonesboro Open presented by Pro Discus. And thanks for supporting the ladies coverage and all of the sponsors and following everybody on UDisc. And thank you, Paige, and congratulations.
Thanks again for having me. join us next Pro Tour.